Hi you guys, I'm glad to be back. But before we get started with our lesson, I would like to let you know that I just created a Facebook page for Easy Exposure. So you can find the Easy Exposure page by typing, of course, Easy Exposure, everything about photography in your search. I also posted the link to my page below and also on my profile page, on my YouTube profile page. I also would like to let you know that I'm planning to do a different photo contest and also give you some homework which help you to improve your photography skills. By the way, you will have some homework in my next video which will be connected to the things we will learn in this video. So in this lesson we will be talking about something very important. I think almost the most important thing in photography, and it's composition. Because even if you get all your settings right, your exposure right, your white balance right, if your composition is not good and boring, your picture will not look nice and professional. So let's get started. The most known composition rule is the rule of thirds. It's also called golden ratio rule. It works like this. Imagine that we divided our image into 3 equal parts horizontally and vertically, using the lines. According to the rule of thirds, we should place important elements of our composition where this line intersect, or we can place them along those imaginary lines. The rule of third can help us to produce nice, balanced, easy on the eye pictures. Rule of thirds can be very useful while taking portraits. Usually in the portrait the person's eyes is the most important. By placing the people's eyes in the rule of thirds, we will draw more viewers' attention to the eyes. Kind of an opposite to the rule of thirds is using a symmetry in our composition. In this case, we will place our subject in the middle, and we have a symmetry from both sides. This helps to draw our eyes to the center, to our subject which is in the center. Placing our main subject off-center, as with the rule of thirds, can create some interesting photo. But sometimes we can have a situation that some parts of the image might feel too empty. In this case, we can balance our picture by adding some other elements to the background. In this case, we also got some three-dimensional feel to our picture. In some other cases, we want to keep our background as simple as possible and see if there is nothing distracting in the background which can distract from our subject. I think the plain background works pretty good in this picture, even that the main subject placed not in the middle. The different lines can be also really important part of our composition. You can find lines everywhere, and by using them properly we can make your composition much better. Lines can lead your viewer into the picture or towards your subject, since our eyes tend to travel along the lines. You can use different type of lines in your pictures. They can be vertical, horizontal, diagonal lines. The curved lines can be also very effective in the pictures. I would also recommend you to pay attention to different patterns or textures. Patterns itself can create very interesting compositions. They can also be used as interesting background for your subjects. In spite of the fact that our world is three-dimensional and the picture is two-dimensional medium, we still can create some depth in our pictures by using the composition in correct way. Usually having foreground, middle ground, and background in our pictures can help us to create the depths. Our world is full of different things which can create a nice, interesting natural frames around our main subject. This can help to bring the attention and focus and draw eyes of the viewer to the main subject. By using a shallow depth of field wisely, we can also draw our viewers' attention to our subject. Since our eyes are made this way that they are driven to the most sharpest object in the scene. Shallow depth of field can also help us to eliminate some distracting background from our subject. Reflections can also be some very interesting part of our composition. You can find them everywhere. You can look for reflections in the water. Reflections in the mirror looks nice. Or even some reflections on some shiny objects. Using shadows in your composition might be also very interesting. Now let's talk about horizon. Horizon positioning is very important in our composition. And most common mistake a lot of people do is position the horizon in the middle of the picture. There are some cases when it will look good, but in most cases it's confusing for the viewer eye because your eye doesn't know where to go, either to go to the sky or to go to the ground. Before taking the picture, you have to decide which is more important. If you have some dramatic, spectacular sky, you might want to show more sky in your picture and place your horizon below the middle. Or maybe your ground is more important and sky is secondary. In this case, you will place your horizon more towards the top. Also, in most cases, you will have to pay attention that your horizon is leveled, like in this picture. Of course, there are always exceptions to the rule, and there are some cases where putting your horizon at angle might create more interesting and dynamic picture. As you probably understood from the video, the good composition helps to define and highlight your main subject in the scene. Also, good composition is pleasing to the eye. That's why when you're taking a picture, first you need to define clearly what do you want to show in your picture. What is the most important on your picture? Either it's a person or it's a building or it's some parts, like it can be a person's hands doing something. And after you define what the main subject is, then you can build your composition around it. You can either focus on your subject and leave everything blurry around, or you can incorporate some leading lines towards your subject, or you can frame your subject, and those all other things we were talking about in our video. In my next video, I actually have some little exercise for you, and we will be working with some software. I will show you how to create your composition in a different software, and it might be some interesting little practice which you can do, which might help you later while you're shooting. So stay tuned, and I see you in a few days in my new video about composition again, but you will have a homework from that next video. So thank you for watching. I'm glad I'm back, and please go to my Facebook page and like it. And this way you will always know when my new videos come out. So bye bye.